I'll
That's a long
You're nice and clear and visually and audio. Tim is some kind of fuchsia limbo, and it sounds like he's talking from underneath an aquarium.
witness protection, eh?
It's the rose-colored glasses he's wearing.
Well, you know what? Something's going on with my computer, and I talked to my tech person, and I have no choice but to go with it like this because I haven't got that glitch out. And as long as we get the meeting out of it, people are going to prefer to look at you and Martin anyway.
Well, Tim.
Yes.
Do you have what camera are you using?
The one that's on my ThinkPad, and there's something wrong with it. And I had a new ThinkPad, but it doesn't have the proper charge on it. So
okay, go down to the bottom left of the screen.
Yes.
Where you got a little video camera there.
Yeah.
Click on the arrow beside it.
Yep.
And it gives you lots of options for adjusting the camera.
Well, it says
you can change the camera.
Integrated camera. Let me take that off and see what happens. I want to be really careful now. Nothing changed. So let me go to video settings. HD, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's definitely the camera, not the settings, because I went through this with my tech person this morning.
So you did. You already went through the settings.
Yeah. So the thing is that the most of what I'm going to do here today, you and Martin will have to say. Dave, before I get started, I got to say welcome. Thanks for joining us. My name is Tim Denmark. This is Georgina Speaks. Martin Nash, as always, my conscience is with us today. And I'm very happy to be joined by Dave Szollosy, who is a past councillor and a long-standing citizen of the town of Georgina. Dave, I
say my name is Szollosy. That's okay.
Szollosy, don't mind me. I speak how I spell it. So here's the thing. I have one fact I have to confirm just to prove I've done my research. Now, one of the lakefront property owners, I need to confirm that her father-in-law actually was the person who delivered you at birth. His name's William Henderson. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, good. So come home.
True. Doc Henderson.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right.
Okay, good. So
that's your father-in-law?
That's her father-in-law. Yeah, Diane Henderson down on Lake Drive at the that Doc Henderson was her father-in-law.
That's right. I've got photos.
Go ahead.
I've got photos of the old cottage from the 50s and 40s.
Oh yeah, right on.
Because Henderson and the Doc and my parents were very good friends.
Yeah,
so we got all kinds of photos of my brothers and sisters playing with Billy Henderson and them. Which one is she married? Was she married to?
Well, I think her husband was William Henderson as well, Bill Henderson. I think. I don't know. I believe so.
So I've got pictures of young Billy Henderson playing with my brother Bill.
Oh yes.
On the waterfront there, on the old. They had one of those wooden boats. The inboard.
Yeah. The big one, the on Golden Pond ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple of things. I thought I would kind of spit out up front a number of subjects that I'd like to cover, and then let us just kind of go through them as we go.
I gotta say, Tim. I gotta say the sound is painful for me. I'm having a hard time understanding you at all.
Hang on, let me just. Let me see if I can turn my volume up, maybe. Hang on. It's all on. It's there. Hang on a second. I don't know. I get it, but I just haven't figured out how to get it. So no, that's as much volume as I get. I'll speak as loud and clear as I can. Your audio is coming good. So is Martin's. Can you hear me, Martin, as well?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It's you're a bit spotty, but it's understandable.
I can try sitting.
That's better.
Go ahead.
It's better when you're close to the mic there.
Yeah, well, maybe
also too, I just saw the notification that your bandwidth is low.
Yeah, I don't know how to.
And that's part of the problem why your picture is Your picture is so obscure and your sound might be off. We might just lose you.
Well, you wouldn't
I've
be
been
the
trying that for years.
yeah, Martin's been trying to lose me for about 40 years. I'll keep plugging and see how we make out with it. So the thing is, there's a number of the issues that I want. Number one would be road safety. The other is obviously some of the issues around the judicial review I'm working on right now in relation to the ad hoc committee, denial of permits, that kind of thing. And one other subject I wanted to cover, and I would defer to your judgment on this, because I just not sure how to approach it. And I think we talked about this the other day, is to do with, like, in my process, I'm relating to council as a whole. What happened, where we're at, decisions that were made, and I'm having a hard time identifying. Bless you.
Sorry.
That's quite all right. Quite all right.
Yeah, well,
So
the screen's still clear.
I have a hard time dealing with the fact that, you know, I'm friends with Dave Neeson. I like Dave Neeson. I think he means well. He has his reasons for what he does, and so I don't want to just slam him. And I know it can't be that great for them to hear me sit here and talk about council this and council that. Rob Grossi, he tried to stick up for, and he got slammed, and he got with the conflict of interest, which I won't make a judgment on that, but he was sticking up for the residents. So I want to be able to say that without any other reason except for to acknowledge that fact. Mike Waddington tried to bring up and have a proper discussion about why are we doing this with ownership, that kind of thing. They've all had their bits in it, but I have to approach it. Council is doing this, and I have to approach it seriously that way. And I wasn't sure. So, any thoughts you have on that? So that's.
Well, I certainly would interfere if you're making any comment disparaging of any individual.
Well, no, I wouldn't want to do that.
Again, it's okay. I would have a difficulty with that.
No, I've got nothing disparaging to say about any of them. I don't envy the position that they're in. It's not an easy subject to wade your way through. I'm having trouble with, I have to take an opposing view of council's stuff, and I don't want to be slamming them doing so, you know what I mean? So I don't know how to give credit where credit's due while still maintaining the bottom line, which is council as a whole voted for these things that I disagree with. For it, like I said, Mike Waddington tried to stick up, got interfered with by the lawyer, in my opinion. Dave Neeson tried to reserve the $2 a foot, tried to keep that alive during the meeting, but in the end voted for the status quo in the appraisal. So I think I just want to say, I actually wanted to say the opposite of that, and that is that lots of the councils individually are trying their best to sort this out, but in the end, they all went what I believe to be the wrong way, I guess. Sorry, go ahead. That's me. I'm done babbling, buddy. I'm here to.
How long are we going for anyway?
We're going for an hour, but we can do another one anytime you're available. Because I appreciate your input. You got a lot of experience on this. Dave's a past councilor, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, and quite effective one at the time, and he's got good knowledge on these matters. Budget is another thing I'd like to get to if we can, but go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jim. I did not hear what you just said. Did you ask me a question? Pardon
No,
me.
I said budget is something I would like to get to eventually if we can, but we can do it another time.
Oh, okay.
These matters are the most important. Well,
So are we?
okay. So the question, my first question to you, I guess one of the most immediate concerns, road safety and the new bike path and pedestrian path being made a regional, the effect of all of that. I guess if you have some thoughts on that.
Okay, sure. Actually, I do, Tim. Yeah. Because road safety is something that we've been dealing with on Lake Drive for many, many years. And it's always been a concern because it is a multi-use thoroughfare. I mean, we have cars and we have people who their whole recreational activity is going for a drive along Lake Drive. And that is a very pleasurable activity. We have pedestrians, people going for walks, people taking their dogs out, walking their children. pushing carriages. We have bicyclists who use this as a wonderful ride. I've gone along from my place down to South Keswick along the lake. It's a wonderful, wonderful ride. So it's a multi-use facility, but how do we maintain the safety of every individual user on that at the time? When I was on council, we did have the committee that was established, primarily driven by Orchard Beach residents at the time, to try to get some way of assisting and protecting people along the route. And I know the current road safety committee has been doing a lot of work too. And I think we should give Mike Waddington, who's the council rep on that committee, and the rest of the committee, tons of credit and kudos for the work they've done.
Absolutely.
Now, is it enough? Because you've spoken about, and I know a lot of residents along Lake Drive have observed, as I have very easily watching from the window here, enormous volume of usage that's picked up since the pandemic has erupted in this province. I think it's been a noticeable increase, not just in terms of, yes, there's a lot of more people up here who are either taking advantage of the opportunity to work remotely, so that they are living in homes, cottages, etc., in the lake to work remotely, or we have an awful lot of people moving up. Tim, as you know, on our street, how many new homes went up in the past year?
Yeah, there's
Just on Fairbank.
it's going crazy everywhere. I built a couple on Fairbank, and yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful area. The waterfront community. Oh, 1 second.
So Lake Drive, we've had a significant increase in population usage of the road. Now, I think the council and on the recommendation of the safety committee, making the action of lowering the speed limit again was a wise move. I think it's helped to rein in. But as you say, with the congestion, I'm always concerned that there's going to be an incident. Now, so amazingly, we seem to have less incidents now with the higher usage than used to take place along the road. Now, those statistics I think should be verified with the York Regional Police, but I think you'd find that they are true. When the road was not used as constantly, there were frequent monthly, if not weekly accidents just out in front of our place. Because the road was not so crowded, certain vehicle operators would go too fast, really exceeding the bounds of safety, and wind up having incidents. Since the higher congestion has taken place, more bicyclists, more pedestrians, slower speed limits, even more vehicles, with a lot of people like me who drive it, who don't go 1 kilometer over 30 all the way along, much to the disappointment of people sometimes behind me. It has actually made the road safer. When I was on council, there was one motion that was coming forward, a push from some residents, looking at trying to turn Lake Drive into one way, thinking that would help make the road more safer by allocating part of the pavement for pedestrians and bicyclists. And the York Regional Police deputation their evidence they provided was quite to the contrary. The fact that the road is so well used is one of the reasons why it has remained safe, because there's not the opportunity to go quickly. The fear the York Regional Police had that if you turn the road into a one-way, then people aren't afraid of oncoming traffic. And the tests that they ran, people tend to go faster in those circumstances. And that would be a greater risk. So it's interesting. I forget the name of the chief at the time. I would like to quote, I'll give reference to his name without quoting him. Said it's the ironic contradiction, inherently contradictory, but because the road appears unsafe, it actually makes it safer. So that is coming out of the studies. That being said, I do see the efforts of the current Road Safety Committee by putting in choke points. What are those things called down the middle of the road? I want to say balustrade, but that's not the right word.
The
They're
pylons.
something boards, or traffic boards, or they're. I was reading the traffic reports. I guess. Okay, so here's a question that I have for you, and it appears as though I might be totally wrong, but my opinion was, or how I was viewing it is, the schedule that they've had in place for years, that this is the year that the signs are all going up. It's going to be a destination, pedestrian, cyclist pathway, route, scenic route, and the signage and everything for the opening was going to be this spring, and it took place. So essentially, you're saying that that those actions are. My opinion was it was irresponsible to do that without mitigating the safety issues because of the increased traffic, the increased pedestrians, the increased cyclists all on that road. And you're saying that's actually making it safer. I just want to be clear, because before you said that right now, my views were absolutely opposite. So I want to be clear. I believe it's very unsafe, and I might be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'll take a look at that.
Well, certainly, Tim. I mean, like the statement once again by the chief of the police made at that time when we had that study. It is very counterintuitive. One would think that increased traffic would, by necessity, make the road less safe. But I think and I admit, the statement that it actually makes it safer is counterintuitive, goes against our what we would perceive. But nevertheless, I think his observation was correct. And I think if you look at the statistical counts for the number of vehicle pedestrian incidents and vehicle bicycle incidents that have taken place over the last year compared to previous years, you actually find them reduced. Once again, I stand to be corrected on that, and that could be verified.
Well, you know what? When was that statement made?
Oh, the statement was made when I was on council, and we were looking at the serious proposal of turning it into one way, and council rejected it outright because of the empirical evidence provided by road traffic studies and the York Regional Police.
What year was that?
Oh dear, Tim, you're asking me to remember something in detail like that.
I think 2004.
somewhere between 2008 and 2015. How's that?
Yeah, okay, that works for me. Somewhere around there. I kind of I thought that might have been the case because I remember it was around 2012 or 13. So I guess the other question I would have is, did they have a safety study engineer done at the time, or and are you aware of anything that's been done since 2010 to address what they're doing now?
Okay, there were studies at the time. We had a lot of data to refer to and comparative studies on other real life situations that had gone on where different mitigating measures had been put in place.
Right.
But since I've not been on council, I don't know. I mean, it's not secret information, but I just haven't paid attention to any reports on the studies. I know at the time the committee, this is not the current committee, but at the time we had put in a number of different test measures along Lake Drive and Hedge Road to see what were the impacts. And we did do traffic studies on the results of different factors, i.e. we put in some sections of the road had border markers along the edges.
Yeah, that's actually
painted margins. Yep. Some sections of the road had lines put down the center, and some were left as a country rural road, no markings whatsoever. And with our studies, and we did, speed studies along those sections and observational as well as traffic counts. Interestingly, it appeared the conclusion that we drew at the time was that the safest situation was the leaving it as an unmarked rural road. When you painted a center line down the middle of Lake Drive, cars felt compelled to stay inside that, or drivers rather, not the cars. Cars don't have any feelings. Drivers felt compelled to not cross that center line, therefore getting closer to pedestrians and bicyclists than they normally would. See, we got to realize in a road like this, of this size, to 40 kilometers per hour or under, bicyclists have a right to their lane. And I think that needs to be asserted, made clear even more. So cars either have to yield if there's oncoming traffic, or give a cyclist a wide berth when passing.
Right.
Now the trouble is with the painted center line, cars were reluctant to go around and give the space required. So it actually seemed less safe. So the only place where we recommended in the end to put center lines was in sharp curves or over bridges, etc. So like the bridge at Paradise Island it was painted.
Yeah, no, I see.
Center line.
Okay, so here's my take on that. So one thing is that this demonstrates, like I appreciate that input, and what I take from it is this big mess, and I call it a big mess. It's a lovely spot to go. Everybody loves going there, and that's what makes it a big mess, because everybody loves to go there. So, but it clearly identifies that these issues have been around for a long time. Those measures that you're talking about were incorporated a long time ago. And so I need to know, okay, when they've decided to make this a regional for the Greater Toronto Area, a destination pedestrian bicycle route, scenic route, scenic drive, whatever you want to call it, the volume of traffic to increase, to take steps and not mitigate any further the circumstances there, while just posting the signs and inviting everybody there, which for this destination, for this regional whatever thing, it's been in the plan a long time. What safety measures have they done? What studies have they done to address those actions? And if so, like what are they? And if I'm wrong, and if having it all clustered up is a safer way to deal with it, that's fine. I mean, I'll accept that, but I don't see it. I went into the studies, and all I seen was the studies was regurgitation of old measures, nothing new, directly related to their efforts with the region. That would be my question.
Yeah, there's a couple things you're mentioning there, Tim. I think we need to peel off from each other.
Okay.
One is that lake-to-lake cycling pedestrian pathway.
Right.
That's not new. That's been around for a long time. That was initiated, I believe, 2008, where that was put forward as a recreational opportunity. That's a regional initiative.
Yes, it is.
In cooperation with the City of Toronto, and they put together a pathway, laneway, rural road route for to enhance, I don't know, people's well-being, people's use of the environment, people's getting more active out in the environment, in the natural beauty that we have. So, I mean, the route starts at Lake Ontario, comes along a lot of pathways, walkways, through all the municipalities up here to the lake. And Georgina's contribution to that whole project was identifying Lake Drive as a cycling pathway, walking pathway.
And so
that's not new.
No, I understand that. And the thing is that that's my point. It's been in the plans for a long time. So it should be the best executed action on earth. It's been there for 10 years. So my point is, it was to them to decide what was going to happen there. They could have said that the bicycle route, scenic route, whatever, could have been along the metro, could have been anywhere. There's nature on metro. I don't know if they were going to make it that route, that Lake Drive route. If they were going to, then did they do it safely? Did they calculate and estimate the increase of traffic and volume of people, and like the situation as it was going to end up being? Did they take the steps properly to predict that and to mitigate any safety issues in relation to that? And when I do the research at the town reports and so on, I don't see any of it. I just see, but I do see in 2018, them posting spring of 2021 is when the signs are going up. That's officially the scenic route. Was it responsible to do that given the circumstances that we have now? And if it wasn't, or if it is or it wasn't, whatever your opinion, I mean, I'm open to addressing it.
Yeah, I think that's a different issue, Tim. Now, once again, I'm not on the committee anymore, but there used to be signs along Lake Drive identifying Lake Drive is a scenic route, speed limit enforced, please share the roads with other users. Those signs really had no authority. I mean, there's a couple people you could talk to, but it was just more or less put up on the desire of the mayor at the time. Well, let's put up a sign here, and just to try to bring attention to the care of the road, and the signs are prepared. There was no bylaw behind those signs or anything. The difficulty with those signs, and I think this came up at the current road safety committee, is that they did state on them maximum speed 40 kilometers per hour. And when the town passed the bylaw to lower the speed on Lake Drive to 30, those signs are out of date. So I think what you're referring to is just the replacement of the old signs because they referred to an outdated speed limit. So
when they
I don't think it's really connected with the lake to lake bicycle route plan. It may have been in the back of people's minds, but not as a direct consequence.
Well, they must have put it from the back of their mind into the brochure that they put out 3 years ago that said the signs are going up, signage is going up for this scenic road, spring of 2021. And I can tell you that it was an issue. They were concerned about they had to get their signs posted because that's the commitment they made, because it is for that exact program. It's not something else. It is that program. It was posted as such, and this spring was the opening officially, designating it the scenic route. And the old signs had nothing to do with the scenic route. They said share the road, pedestrians left. Let me just end this. Thank you. They said the old sign said share the road. There might have been some old sign somewhere along there that said scenic route that was put up as an individual thing, but the route as a whole was never posted as such. They just posted share the road because of all the problems that they've had in the past, the same as you discussed, that go back to the 1990s. So this was definitely this effort. It was supposed to go this spring, and without any other measures that I could find to mitigate or to address any increase in traffic or anything, they just went ahead and did it and posted the signs. So if there's information that that is available to you that's not available to me, that where they took some steps other than the ones that have been in the works for years, I'd be open to it. Does that make sense?
Tim, are we talking about the same signs?
Yes.
I'm talking about the one when you come out of Jackson's Point, and there's a sign on Lake Drive when you're headed westbound coming out of Jackson's Point.
And on
like
the
that's sign there.
And on the opposite end at Barney Road, where the light comes out, and at the entrance into the entire scenic road path has all the new signs now, and it's for that purpose.
Yeah. Okay. We're talking about the same signs. I think that's where the old ones were located, though, and I thought they were just changed because the speed limit had changed.
No, they were.
And so the old signs were out of date.
No,
are those signs, the ones you're pointing to, are they used anywhere else in York Region along the route of the lake to lake pathway?
No, not that I'm aware of. No, those signs that I have. That's a good point. I'll have to go and drive the rest of the walkway, but they are on what is in the town of Georgina's designated section of that plan. They're on the entire route. They went up this spring as it was posted 3 years ago that they were going to go up this. So it is that effort that those signs are in relation to, nothing else. They were posted because they were slated to go up. They were in the brochure. I'll email you. Well, I'm sure you've seen it. I posted it like I post everything on Facebook because I don't have a life. So but I posted it on Facebook and it's there. The brochure that was put out in 2018, the work that's been done so far to accommodate it, the 2021 projection. And on the side of it, they got a little person on a bicycle, a picture of a person on a bicycle on a road, on a designated bicycle path as projects in work, but it said signage 2021, spring of 2021, and in spring of 2021, they put it up, and they questioned whether they could put it up because of the litigations that were going on at the time, and we settled those litigations, and I think in the end they decided to put the signs up anyway. But we're not talking about two different things. They opened the scenic route this spring. It's going to bring a ton of new traffic to that area. Both cyclists, it's now signed as planned for 3 years now. The signage is up. The scenic road is open. So that's my best information based on the documentation that I have read and provided.
Okay, well, I'm not going to contradict you, Tim, because I didn't look into the studies of that, but my understanding with those signs that you have identified weren't necessarily part of the lake-to-lake bike path plan, but that the Safe Road Safety Committee had merely asked them to replace the previous signs that had existed. I know the other set of signs, the third layer we got here, the ones that were put up while I was chair of the Road Safety Committee, the instructional signs.
Yeah, share the road.
Share the road signs and pedestrians walk left, cyclists ride right. A lot of initially the citizen members of the committee had asked that we do an education campaign in the paper, but we thought at the committee at the time better to do the education right on the site where it would be utilized by the side of the road. And I've seen people walking along, look at the sign and cross the street and walk correctly, because people who grow up in an area without that have sidewalks everywhere, people that grow up in a more or live in a more urbanized area aren't familiar to how to walk correctly on roads without sidewalks. So I think that's a safety mitigation measure, and I know the committee has recommended. I did make a deputation actually to them, and they have agreed they're going to replace a lot of the signs that have gone missing and extend that instructional tool, because it seems to be a fairly inexpensive and effectual way of getting everybody behaving the same way on the roads, which would also significantly contribute to safety.
Well, you know, Dave, you live on Lake Drive. You've been at this in an official capacity for a number of years. So, I mean, I would absolutely defer to your judgment in terms of a number of these questions. But all that signage that you're talking about come from the good judgment of you people that were there at the time that they were put up. It's been there forever. Has nothing to do with the bike path. But this, and it's exactly my point. So I don't see any new measures that were taken. Just put the signs up, and the signs that went up this spring were the spring signs for the opening of that leg of the regional thing. Those signs are how Georgina decided to represent their involvement in that whole regional thing. That's their extension of that bike path, that regional effort. So it was going this spring no matter what, and there's nothing else been done. Just put the signs up and invite everybody there. That's my characterization of it, and it's a loose one, I admit, but I don't see anything else. Just, we got to put the signs up. We're committed. It was committed 3 years ago and ever since, and they did. And I do you think that, I guess my question is, are you satisfied that there's been enough done and that it was responsible to just designate it as such without any further safety measures being taken? I guess, have they done enough? I guess is my question. Are you satisfied?
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, that's a very, very awkward question. First off, it's not a couple years ago. As I say, it was 2000. It goes back to 2008.
Yeah.
The lake path. And I'm not sure. I'm still not sure. Your point that it was these change of signs is a consequence of a recent expansion or emphasis on the lake-to-lake trail. I'm not sure that's true, but go ahead. Can we do more to improve safety and control safety? Absolutely. always. But I think we got to step through and do it in a rational way, based upon traffic studies, based upon the best information we have available, based upon statistics of vehicle pedestrian interactions, based upon other test studies in other municipalities of what has worked for traffic mitigation measures. Should we begin looking at one thing I've pushed in the past is portable, removable speed bumps too, on straight stretches. Now, the problem is why speed bumps have always been opposed is because we have to plow our roads in the winter. Wintertime speeding isn't so much of an issue. If we had removable speed bumps, though, that were only there for the high traffic season, i.e., spring, summer.
Yeah, that would be
that could be removed in the fall. I think that would be another good mitigation measure. I know the committee has looked at those bollards again to make traffic choking devices along route. That may work. The research has shown that it has a positive effect on reducing traffic, and we've seen it in place. Last summer, it was a trial at Delaselle Park.
Yeah, can I ask you, can you see what I'm putting up on the screen right now?
I just see fuchsia right now.
You can't see anything.
Okay, so then you can't, but it's the actual thing that I'm telling you about. I thought if I put it up on the screen, because I'm screen recording it, it might become visible to you, but I don't want to waste
Try it through are you doing it through share screen? Try it, because then we'll bypass your camera anyway.
Well,
put it up on share screen.
Hang on, where's share screen? Aren't you
you should have a button at the bottom, a green thing that's share screen. And you can.
Oh yeah, hang on, share screen.
Now you've got a list of different documents that you have open.
Can you see that?
And there you go. There we go. Good. Yes.
Expected signage installation 2018 program.
I have to lean into it.
Yeah, okay.
I have to lean into it here. Town of Georgina signage installation. Okay. Shoreline Place Trail Bridge. Bridge updated to 33 kilometers.
Well, hang on a second. I have another one I'll put up that deals with the Shoreline project. Hang on one sec. So I'll just stop that share. Hang on, and I'll go to the other one that I have, which is. Well, you really give me a good lesson here, Dave. I'm so happy you joined us.
Well, while you're playing with that, Tim, I just listening to your safety concerns along Lake Drive. It always just brings the thing. How is this going to relate to 66-foot road allowance or the other things we've been talking about?
Well, that's a really good question. Let me just open this. Make sure I got the right file opening up here. And
I don't know if that's a wrench or a hornet.
Okay. Yeah, me neither. Hang on. Lake Zone pilot. Oh, here we are. There we are. So there it is. All right. So let me see if I can share this stuff or not. So, Martin, what was your question again? Sorry.
No, I just while you were playing around, I was just saying, how does the safety, and if the safety is okay on the road, what's a 66-foot road allowance that the town believes that they own? Like, how does that relate to all that?
You're putting a dog on a leash. I can see what you're up to. Actually, you know what? We got 20 minutes left, and it's clear we're going to have to do a few of these if whenever we're possible, if possible. So what I'm going to do is, I don't think we should get into that whole thing just yet. Dave, are you open to doing some more of these as we move along?
Oh, Tim, Martin, I'm always delighted to have a conversation with you.
Martin,
whether you record it or not, I don't care.
Yeah, me too, 100%. For the record, people, Martin and Dave went to school together. I'm always outnumbered by these bloody Keswick these Georgina old timers, eh? Let me go to a share screen here. Just want to see if I've got the other one that I think that, I don't know, that's a different one. Lake Drive, yeah, that's the Lake Drive project right there for the bike path. And that's part of this whole thing that came out in 2018, and so it's been in the works. It's been planned. The launch was 2021 spring. And so my characterization of it, which isn't necessarily true, but how I feel about it when I see it and from my research is they were supposed to do a whole bunch of stuff to get ready for it, couldn't get it done, and just put the signs up and invited everybody to come and play in the traffic. That's my take.
Two things. So with regard to the signs, it may very well be the case, and this would be a question to pose to the members of the Lake Drive Safety Committee. Why were those signs changed? And it could be a double purpose. It could, as you suggest, it could have been to fulfill the goals of signing the route for the Lake to Lake Highway, at the same time updating them so that they had the correct speed limit on them. It could have been a double purpose for changing them. That's fine. Makes sense. I do know that, what we should touch on is some things coming out of the waterfront master plan that the town has commissioned to be undertaken. I know some of I've attended a few of these online sessions. And for example, the enhancements, we're talking about the trail plan here. When we talk about Willow Beach Conservation Area Park down here on McNeil, one of the suggestions is to either seasonally, which I tended to encourage, or permanently divert traffic from the beach area and go around the beach so traffic connects with Metro there. That would and leave the existing part of Lake Drive through there as a bicycle/pedestrian walkway. Now that would enhance the trail very much, and that would fulfill one of the objectives you're talking about there in that brochure about the active trail improvements. If that were to take place in the Willow Beach area, and I believe it was also suggested of the De La Salle area, to make the road more safe in two of the areas that are identified as potential danger spots, because there's so many people and small children, especially, crossing the road back and forth without due attention to the traffic. Once again, we've been fortunate not to have any incidents because it's such a dangerous situation. You have vehicles literally crawling through those areas. But, would diverting traffic create more safety? Absolutely it would.
Yeah,
Is that what the residents want to see happen? That's a question for our political people to deal with.
Yeah, my sensationalistic way of putting it is they're destroying Willow Beach, but looking at it seriously and in the light of which you present it, I actually agree with you. With the traffic being detoured out on the Metro along the ways and back down again in a couple of spots would probably eliminate a good amount of traffic that would otherwise take the run all the way up the lake. But with those breakages in that path would be less likely to. So that might help in terms of the traffic portion of it. I still believe
Sure.
I still believe that I don't believe they should have posted all that signage this spring. Now we're lucky we're in a pandemic. There's a statement for you, but in those circumstances, because it's likely because it might not come to a head this year, the volume of traffic that those actions are going to cause. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it won't cause such an increased thing. But I happen to believe that they should have been taking steps to either keep the traffic the same or minus. But I think they're taking steps to the opposite, and they're not mitigating any of the dangers.
Well, it's an interesting idea too, and like we could look at ways that such a plan could go ahead. Let's look at British Columbia now. I mean, the British Columbia, in dealing with the pandemic, has actually put restrictions on where people can travel within the province, so that they are closing down inter-district travel between regions in British Columbia. So you can't drive the Coquihalla right through from Nelson to Lower Mainland. You can't take the road up to 100 Mile House from Surrey. You are confined to your area. One of the suggestions that was popped around to try to reduce the spread of the virus from hot spots in the province, which are identifiably Toronto and Peel, to areas that have more or less been protected, more protected from the virus, close down the 400 series highways to all but essential traffic. Why should people be moving around that quickly? That would, if we close down the 404, that would certainly reduce the volume of vehicles coming up from the south to utilize Lake Drive. Is that something politically we would want to do in this province at this time, though?
Well, yeah, that's a really tough one, because as soon as you start, restricting people's rights to go here or there or whatever, it gets into a whole other kettle of fish. But in relation to Lake Drive, I believe there's lots of circumstances where they have local traffic only stop. I think if they took any steps, I believe they should take some steps to eliminate the traffic. And if that's direct out and then back in again, out to Metro and then back again 2 or 3 times, so that it's not such a clean, straight run through there. All of the pedestrians and all the bicycles, I don't care. I understand it. I get it. It is a lovely place to go and do that. And I really love, going along there and seeing all these families out walking it. The people on Lake Drive, I guess the feedback I get from people on Lake Drive is that their interests are not being protected in terms of, they're scared with their kids. I mean, I have people telling me they're diving for the ditches some Saturdays because 90% of us are responsible, and then it only takes one Ricky Racer to come flying up Lake Drive because they love the drive, but they got a new Camaro or whatever, there's a lot of that goes on too. And that speaks to what you were talking about. The more congested it is, the less likely, you're going to have that opportunity. But I just think they could have done more, or they should be clearer about what they're doing about it.
One of the mitigation measures we put into place back, when I was on the committee, were the additional 4-way stops along Lake Drive. And that did have an impact of slowing traffic down as well. When people have to come to a stop, but there was concern from people who lived in those areas, now had a stop sign in front of their house, which wind up increasing the sound distraction, the noise that they had to put up with. And with cars coming to a stop, starting. It's perhaps what you're referring to isn't a major restriction on people's movement, but if there were interruptions along the route, more like if you take a drive along Lake Drive on the east side of the lake, just south or around Beaverton area.
Yeah.
You find you can drive along for a while, then got to go back up to the main road.
Yeah.
You can come back down again and go up to the main road. So it tends to mitigate against people going for long cruises. Now, would that address our concern? It could address. Is that acceptable to people? As I started off, one of my first comments when we started today was saying a drive along the lake is the recreational activity for a lot of people in our community. Not just outside of the community, but within the community. So is that something that we're willing to give up? If you're a resident along Lake Drive, I'll be really honest. Today, I think that's the 5th car that's gone by since we started talking. On Saturday, Sunday, it's a never-ending stream. Am I willing to put up with 16 days a year of heavy traffic to allow people to enjoy the scenic route? Yeah, I am.
Well, I guess that's what it comes down to. So then basically what you're saying is wherever it ends up with right now, like the steps that if it ends up being ongoing traffic every Saturday, Sunday during the summer months, and save and accept nobody gets killed, which would be my concern. The safety is the only thing that I'm addressing on this issue, but you're saying that if that becomes a congested bicycle, scenic route, bicycle, pedestrian, automobile patch of road in front of your house, you don't have any objection to that. You don't mind that. Save and accept the safety aspect.
Mm-hmm. Once again, you talked about the freedom of people to move, and I think that's an important principle that we all value. As long as you say the safety features, and I go back to the York Regional Police report from a while ago that presented the counterintuitive argument that because it's so heavily used, it tends to self-police to make itself more safe. Separate from those particular instances along the lake where you have large numbers of people dashing back and forth, which I think the Recreation Department has been trying to address. Once again, I'm not privy to those conversations,
Right.
but putting in the traffic calming measures, the rumble strips on the road, to warn people of the impending dangerous areas, and the bollards to cut down the traffic choking. Techniques have
Well,
anecdotally worked.
Go ahead. Let me phrase this another way. Yeah, you know what's going on there now because you live there. It's going up and down all the time. So if the measures that they've taken now, in other words, if they've opened it up now as a scenic route, which is in the plan, which was there for this spring, and designated it clearly at a regional level, now everybody has it designated as a destination for a bicycle and a lovely spot for everybody to go and have a drive on a Sunday. If that increases the traffic double to what it has been up until last year before the pandemic, like on a regular basis, doubles or triples it, your acceptance of that? If that's the result?
Well, I mean, hey, would I be happier to have? Would I be happier to have less traffic on the road? Yeah, I think so. But once again, the measures that we may have to take to achieve that goal, I don't know are acceptable measures. Other than what we've been talking about, the interruptions to the flow by diverting traffic off Lake Drive in certain areas,
right?
And putting in certain traffic calming tools in those areas or not. For example, that long
they've all been put in years ago. The calming measures and all of and then last year they did a reduction in the speed limit for about the third time, I think. But the measures that you're talking about have been there since 2008 and 10 and 12 and 14 when you were there. And so I'm talking about what they did right now. They opened it up, and whatever the result of that opening it up is going to be, and I believe it's going to be like double or more than the traffic. If that is a result, without having taken any other measures, was that a responsible thing to do, I guess, as I'm asking?
Oh, once again, I'm not sure that the opening up is a new thing, because that was on the plan, 2008. At that point in time, did we anticipate that there would be a crush of people wanting to get out of the city every opportunity that they could? Well, no. I think we've had a significant jump in traffic and road usage over the last year that I think we can directly tie back to the pandemic effect. People need recreational activity, and going for bicycle rides is one of the few limited recreational activities that are available. So I think we've had an increase, a more significant increase than we would have predicted back in 2008 or 2019, for that matter.
Right. Well, I agree.
So I'm not sure.
I agree. Actually, everybody and most of the property owners, I don't think anybody has any objections, period, to people walking and people on bikes. So maybe it's a question of I believe the town should have, one possibility is maybe they could have looked more at, okay, increasing that traffic, how do we reduce actual traffic? And that would be the measures that we just talked about, redirecting out to the Metro Road and back up to breaking up traffic, or with stop signs or whatever. It's just like everybody agrees the bicycle and pedestrian traffic is nice. It's nice to see people out, but it's the combination of that, and then the increased car traffic makes it extremely dangerous in many people's opinion.
And noisy, and it does reduce people's enjoyment of it. I mean, it's I used to go for a bike ride every day along Lake Drive, and with my dog, running beside me on the bike. It has become decidedly less enjoyable now because of the constant vehicle traffic coming behind and in front. And especially the people who do not recognize the rules of the road, who do not notice it. Two things I want to say though. One that I am very happy to see York Regional Police has reinstituted the bicycle patrols. I've seen the bicycle officers going by a few times now. I think that's a positive effort. It helps to enforce
Yeah,
and
100%.
educate people about the rules of it. Second thing, though, is I would make an appeal to all these people enjoying the walk with their dogs. Please pick up your poop. It is becoming.
That's a whole podcast.
It's becoming increasingly, unappealing to go along Lake Drive when you have to go by, avoid stepping in remnants of dog excrement along the way. I know my wife actually one time went along and actually picked up everybody's dog poop, saying this is getting really out of hand here, folks.
Yeah.
But people should take that little bit of responsibility. Because you're in a rural area doesn't mean that other people aren't using it.
Yeah, the trouble is the people that would listen to that message are already doing it. The people that won't listen to it will just won't. But I get it. I see people do it. They walk and they look around and then they keep going, and rather than pick it up, and it's disgusting. You know what, Dave? I'm absolutely sorry to say I couldn't pin you down too tightly on any given issue. I really, really appreciate your input, and I'm looking forward to doing this again. And the reason I'm winding up because I want to give Martin 3 or 4 minutes for some input. I appreciated your patience all the way along, Martin. What's up?
Well, actually, I've been enjoying listening, and I'm just trying to think. I've seen Dave quite a number of times over the years, but I do remember. Did you go to Scarborough College residences in University of Toronto? I think I remember seeing you there.
No, I went to. I did my undergraduate degrees at Western both times. Right. When I did my what you might have seen when I did my graduate degree at U of T, I was living in Scarborough, but not in the residence.
You were over there partying. You were there. You were there drinking. I know it.
Well, I think I remember seeing you in Bob Pollock's residence, if I remember right.
Yeah, well, maybe popped over. I could have visited.
Yeah, no, I think you were visiting. Yeah.
More likely, I was visiting him at the time. Yeah. That was fun. Some of those events, that it's going back in history a little bit. So I'm gonna claim that it was a long time ago. That if that's the reason I don't remember it. Other reasons why it might be foggy.
Be careful, Dave. Martin knows where all the skeletons are buried. Listen, guys, I cannot thank you enough, and we only got 3 minutes, and so I want to just make sure I do that. I want to thank you very much, and I would really look forward to doing this again on a number of host of issues. I found it. I enjoy our time, no matter what. So for sure. Mark?
I guess are we done or what?
Well, do you have something? Anything else you want to add, Dave? Something that you want to address at the last minute? Got a cause you want to bring attention to? What about your media publication you do yourself?
Oh, the Politically Speaking on Rogers Cable 10 and Internet. Yeah, see, we're doing we've been doing a lot of really, really interesting shows, getting a lot of attention lately. We just did a show on the Bradford bypass. Had a number of people who are raising concerns about the environmental impact of that, and had our local MPP, Minister of Transportation, Carolyn Mulroney, on the show. We did another previous show on the interview with Seth Klein, who's the author of the book A Good War, talking about how we have to mobilize our society to fighting climate disruption. And our current show is talking about the rebuild of the nurse practitioner clinic in Sutton, as well as had Councillor Frank Sebo on with all other issues dealing with Sutton. So there's been a lot of good traffic on the Facebook pages too, people responding back and forth on the questions and issues we've been raising on the show. That's Rogers TV. Oh, yeah, right on. Rogers TV.
Rogers TV. Yeah, there you go. What a good infomercial. I liked it. Actually, I've seen different segments of the stuff that you do, and I consider it to be good work for whatever that's worth, and worthwhile community involvement as far as that goes. So we're down to less than a minute, so I guess the best thing that we could do, look forward to doing it again, Dave and Martin. If and when we get a chance, I'll try to get it organized. So if everybody could just say goodbye, everybody, and clock out, and then we'll talk again soon.
Okay, take
Tim, good to
My
see you.
pleasure.
And Martin, good to see you again. Bye-bye.
Yep, you too.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you soon.